It's Gio Monroe from the Boss Life Online from Houston, Texas. Thank you, Pandy.
All right. And Melissa?
Hey everybody, Happy New Year. This is Melissa King from Melissa King, my Econ show, and I am glad to be back in the building.
Awesome. And Tony Clopton. Tony C.
What's happening, everyone? This is TonyClopton.com from the Tony Clopton Show, live from Birmingham, Alabama. Roll Tide.
Not Roll Tide. All right now, and I am Pandy of the Making Money Moves with Pandy channel, speaking to you tonight from the beautiful state of South Carolina, where we are currently under storm watch. So we're gonna pray that this power don't go out. We are here tonight to talk to you guys about running a small business from home. Since all four of us are small home-based business owners, I am also a myEcon associate as well as Change in the Future Outcome associate, and we'll get into those businesses at a later time tonight. Since it is a fresh new year, we want to just kind of again put in the forefront of your mind, kick-starting your momentum to be able to run your small business from home and to do it successfully. And so we'll be talking about 12 different tips that you can take and maybe take notes or maybe reflect to see if these are things that you're already doing that maybe you can implement or improve upon so that you can build your business this year to thrive and be more successful. So I am going to be sharing information on these 12 success tips, and we'll just kind of be going around the panel and chiming in and giving our unique perspective as to, how these tips have maybe either helped us or how you've applied them, and kind of seeing if the audience wants to chime in, and we'll just go from there. Does that sound cool, everybody?
Yes.
Yes.
Works for me.
All right, all right, all right. So these live streams are usually very short and sweet. We usually run about 30 minutes. This is a rotating panel that we do every other week. We co-host it on one another's panel, so this is definitely a cross-support movement. Tonight just happens to be my night for hosting. Up next in 2 weeks, we will be over at Geo's. And then 2 weeks from there, we will be over at Tony C. So it's always going to be a unique perspective and conversation. You never know where we're going to be coming from, but it's always going to be news that you can use and information that you can apply to better your situation. Now, without further ado, I hope that everyone has hit the like button. And sharing is caring, so please share this video out on your community tabs or other social media platforms. And feel free to chime in as you see fit. So again, we're going to be covering 12 success tips to help thrive and push your business in the new year. And I'm going to just be sharing them up there. So the first one that I have for you guys is considering your location. So what I mean by considering your location, we know we're talking about working from home. Anyone have anything they want to add on that? Because there are some key factors that you need to take into consideration when you're going to be working from home. Like, do you have children? Do you have a spouse? Do you have pets? Things like that. So I'll start with you, Gio, and we'll just go around from Gio to Melissa, Melissa to Tony, and then come back to me.
All right. When I considered working from home, I only had one kid, okay? And she was like a teenager already. But then she would play music, okay? And so what I did was I decided to tell her, look, I need this amount of time between this time and that time, then you can play your music after that. So that's how I, handled that situation, because I did not want my kid to just not do the things that made her happy And I wanted to be happy too, so we just came to an agreement. Also, sometimes I would like to go to Starbucks. And I would take my computer with me and work out for their Wi-Fi just while I'm drinking coffee, and that also brings about prospects. Okay, because most people don't want to know what you're doing. Okay, but in that particular situation, I would not be on the phone calling nobody, because at Starbucks they have music. Okay, so you do have to consider your location, and if you're going to go to a place like a cafe or a Starbucks or what have you, when you go there strictly to advertise your business, and that means you don't have to talk to anybody. You're just advertising, and you're hoping that somebody gonna come by and say, "Well, what you working on?" And then, bam, you could tell somebody about your business. But at home now, since my daughter and my grandkids are gone out the picture, I have complete silence at my house. So I am in control of my location. Thank you.
Wow, Gio, those were all really good points. Really good points. What about you, Melissa? What do you think when you think consider your location regarding your home based business?
Okay, for me, I think the biggest adjustment, I had to figure out what I consider distraction. Because, um, like, for example, I can work and listen to music at the same time, but I cannot work with the TV on, because instead of me focusing on what I should be working on, I find myself focused on that TV. So I had to figure out early what things I can and cannot do while I'm trying to work. So if you figure out what your distractions are and avoid them, that's a good thing. I thought what Gio brought up about the kids was important. When I first started working from home, my daughter was 5, so I had to establish, like, okay, when you see me sitting here, I got my business hat on. I'm not mom. I'm my mom, but I'm not mom. But after business hours, then. So I guess that can still fall under distractions, but you don't want to call your child a distraction, but you get what I'm saying.
Yes, I do. Okay, what about you, Tony C?
Okay, so when I read the topic, considering your location, you also want to think about the square footage of your home. For most tax preparers, you want to be able to look at a area of your home where you can actually write off the square footage. So when you start doing your taxes, they want to sometimes they ask you, well, where do you do business at? So, and for me, it's downstairs. I've set up a studio. I have the green screen, I have the computer, the TV, and I normally go downstairs to do all of my live events. Now, another thing we have to consider is the strength of your internet. Although I'm downstairs most of the time, my internet connection is not strong. So right now I'm working on currently trying to strengthen my signal there. So there's two major things that you always want to consider: the square footage of the area for your workspace, your environment, and also if you're going to be live, you want to make sure that your internet connection is good. Back to you, Pandy.
All right, those were also awesome points, Tony. And I think we're going to touch on those a little bit more. So, in considering your location, I wanted to just also add that if you are working from home and your business entails meeting with clients, you can also kind of consider, like Jill said, maybe going to a local quiet coffee shop or even renting a meeting space. So, good points, great answers, great tips from everyone. So, tip number 2, here is another important one: giving yourself a schedule. Because running a home based business can provide more schedule flexibility than working in a traditional office or for someone else. So, what are your thoughts on this, Gio? Do you think this is important when you're running a home based business to be on a schedule, or can you just be all over the place? I'm on mute.
Okay. This is something that I always talk about. If you can't get up out the bed, then you cannot make any money. Okay? So giving yourself a schedule is very, 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 very important. I cannot stress that enough. I'm up every morning around 8 a.m. and I already know what I'm going to do because I wrote it out the night before. Okay. I also know that at 12 o'clock, I'm going to fix me some lunch or breakfast or brunch or whatever it's gonna be, and it's gotta be light because if I eat all them carbs, ain't nothing else getting done. Okay, so I have to really, really be disciplined if I want to bring in some money for my rent and everything else that I have going. If I want to make videos, whatever it is that I have going that day, making a schedule and sticking to it is very important when you work for yourself. That's it from me, Candy.
I agree. All great points. Up next, we have Melissa. How do you feel about giving yourself a schedule, and is this important and a good tip for someone considering working from home or owning their own home based business?
Okay, I definitely can echo what Gio said. The only difference is she's better at sticking to it than I am. Because that's one of my not so strong points, making myself start at the same time every day. But I will say also the good part of sticking to a schedule is if you don't, the line between working and not working can get kind of blurred. So sometimes you'll feel like you're always at work or you're always working. So it's good to have a start and stop time so that you have like a boundary of this is my me time, this is my work time. But we all know, I guess all of us on here know, when you have your own business, you pretty much working 24/7 anyway. But just food for thought as far as like being able to separate me time from work time.
Okay, I agree. Those were good points, Melissa. It is hard to kind of separate, and the lines do get blurred, and I am working on that in 2024. Tony C.
Okay. So giving yourself a schedule. When I think of a schedule, it's like you almost literally don't have a whole lot of time when you have a full-time job. So when we're talking about home-based business ownership, we're talking about where can I find my time. So for me personally, I get up early or you're going to stay late. But most of the time, most people can't stay late because you have nothing left at the end of the day after you've worked 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day. So for me personally, it is sketching out some time before I go to work to do some necessary promoting and advertising for my business. So so you only got two options. You're going to get up early or you're going to stay late. And for me, it's getting up early and knocking it out. Back to you, Pandy.
All right, I like that because I do see your early posts be coming out like clockwork. Okay, so I'm going to go on to the next. Working from home, it's not necessary to get into a full suit or whatever, but you could be video chatting with people, or you could be on some type of virtual meeting of some sort. So you should kind of dress the part. What are your thoughts on this, Gio, with regards to business ownership?
Well, it's according on what I have going on that day. Okay, because when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I say is thank you, God, and I head for the bathroom to do everything that I need to do, and it's according on how I feel is what I'm gonna be putting on. Okay. If I have early morning lives and I'm on StreamYard with one of my clients, it's a total different deal where I have to at least put on some makeup, the wig, and a really nice top and stuff like that. It's according on, what I have going on that day. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, I agree. It's like trying to get into the habit of office appropriate attire, especially if you're going to be doing some type of business with a client. What about you, Melissa?
You know what I love about this panel is everybody comes at things from a different perspective. Now, me personally, I have to get up and get dressed like I'm going to work to be in work mode. So if I don't like get out of my night clothes and I have to make a conscious effort, I tried it at first, but I just my mindset wasn't right when I wasn't dressed. Now I'm not putting on no suit, but at the same time, I have to get up and do a routine to make me feel like I am going to work in order for me to be productive. And it might just be in my mind, but that's how I work.
Now, you know what, Melissa? That's actually not in your mind because the experts do suggest having a daily routine of getting dressed can also help prepare you to work with a productive mindset rather than rolling straight out of bed and trying to do it. So you was right on the money with that one. What about you, Tony?
Who knew?
You know what I really like about what you've done tonight is to allow people to use their avatar. So you can dress how you want, t-shirt. Well, I got a picture with a suit. So I think that if you work in a business, sometimes you may not want to have to dress up. Why not put that profile picture out there? People are more comfortable just their voice out there. People concerned about their hair and their makeup and all of that stuff. And I know you ladies look beautiful, ladies, but sometimes just a simple picture, wearing a casual suit or even sweatpants, is good. And I think that we should use these digital platforms like this avatar for some people to be more comfortable about talking about business. So I kudos for doing the avatar thing tonight.
All right, now I didn't even look at it like that, but that does make sense. You can definitely dress it up or dress it down. Awesome. Okay. All right. So the next tip, and we're going to try to get through all of these. We don't want to run too long. Tip number 4, and Tony kind of touched on this earlier, creating a designated office area. Establishing a designated office or work area in your home can help to stay productive, and it also can, help you out with your tax or for tax purposes. What are your thoughts on this, Gio?
Oh yeah, when I first moved to my new apartment, that's the first thing I set up was the office, and figured out what meant it was gonna be and all of this here, so I could put it on my taxes and get paid for that designated space. That's about all I'm gonna say about that. Okay.
I know that's right. What about you, Melissa?
Same here. Made sure I had a designated office space. But the great thing is, depending on what I'm working on, if it's just like a video or something like that, which is still work, I can do that from the couch or from the bed. So flexibility is good, and it's of course having a designated place is good too.
All right, and Tony?
Hey, I always want to be IRS compliant. I think that having all of your equipment in one area, not like an auditor is ever going to come to your house, but if they do, you need to make sure that you got your work stuff in order. So if somebody come in and say, "Oh, this is where you create your magic," so staying IRS compliant, I think, is a great way to create that designated office area space in your home.
I agree with that 110%. It's also highly recommended because this setting can also help us to appear more professional when meeting with clients or customers, both virtually or in person. You never know, you could be doing something virtually and they see a glimpse of the background. They don't need to see your dirty dishes piled up on the sink. It should be a designated workspace area, and it'll also help with increasing our productivity, the way we're working because we're in that designated area and we have an established schedule. All right. So next up, ensuring that you have the right tools to do your job or business. Because I want to get out of the mindset of job. We're talking about home based business and how we can be more successful in them. So, obviously, beyond just a designated office space, we need to ensure that we have the right tools and accessories to conduct the work that we need. If we're going to be doing uh, digital marketing, we need to have our strong Wi-Fi signals, our cameras, our lights. Things need to be in order. What are your thoughts on this, Gio?
Well, for me, because I do a lot of advertising and things like that, I have to have a great laptop, a working good laptop that's gonna carry everything that I do. Okay. Plus, I just get the highest thing paid internet because I can't be talking to somebody and the whole thing go away. So everything that I have in my home is top notch because once you're talking to an important client and they talking about joining your business and then all of a sudden your internet go fuzzy. So I'm very big on that. I invest in my business to make money. Thank you, Pandy.
Absolutely. Very good points. Melissa?
I agree 100% with Gio. It's very important, and the great thing about when you have your own business, those tools are write-offs. So you can afford to kind of splurge and get the higher quality because you know when you do your taxes, you're gonna be able to write off those, and that goes from everything from green screens to apps to create your videos, everything. So I think that's really important to have the right tools.
Absolutely agree. And Tony?
Quality drives quantity. I have to admit, I've not had the best laptop, but just dealing with you ladies and my screen looking bad, it forced me to go and get better products. So, and I appreciate y'all. So, yeah, you got to be careful about the content that you put out. So, I think that it's very important to have good quality tools to work with. Back to you, Pandy.
All right, all right. So that makes perfect sense. I think everyone is pretty much on the same page, and I hope that if you're here, you're watching the live stream, or you're catching the replay, you're jotting down these important tips that are going to help you to be more successful in your home based business. And also keep in mind, when we talk about ensuring having the right tools, that doesn't just include the laptops, the lights, the phones. You want to also look at um, your business supplies or your office supplies and things that you may need, all that stuff that you will use for the purposes of conducting business. And keep in mind that those can be written off as business expenses throughout the year. So, moving right along. Up next, we have assessing your overhead costs. Now, this again kind of goes hand in hand with what we were just saying. Some of the benefits of a home based business is lowered overhead costs. Again, because you're going to be able to kind of recoup some of that money later. What are your thoughts about this, Gio?
Well, assess your overhead costs. I have a budget that I put together, and so that's what I use every month. Every month, I know what I'm going to be spending on advertising. I know what I'm going to be spending on the internet, anything to do with my business. I have a budget for. So that is what I go on, and I try not to go over that budget because I like for my business to pay for everything. Okay. So you have to kind of, to me, you have to kind of make out a plan. So that's why I'm at with it, Patty.
All right, I think that was good. Um, also, because things come up, and I think that was a very good point, Gio, with having a budget, because things will arise. Obviously, you're going to save money on rent because you got that designated home office space, but you do need to take into consideration other costs such as insurance, your office supplies, your equipment, your marketing and advertising, and other, you know, unanticipated expenses that may arise as a result of conducting business. So, up next, we're going to go to Melissa. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, my thing is that I'm so glad that we are in a digital day and age because overhead costs now are so much cheaper than they were back in the 80s, and you had to store inventory and pay all this money and lug everything around. So the digital age has really helped out a lot because most of my business is digital. Keeping overhead costs low is entirely possible.
I agree. That it really does make a difference. What about you, Tony?
When I look at assessing our overhead costs, I'm gonna kind of piggyback on what Melissa was saying. It's like home-based business ownership is you really self-funding your business through the tax deductions. So any business you're gonna get those tax breaks at the end of the year, but unfortunately, a lot of people don't follow all the way through to the end of the year to get the tax deductions. So the money that you're spending on your overhead costs, these are things you're going to spend anyway. Most people need this internet. Most people need cable and power. So I look at it as an expense that we just pay forward and then we get it back later. So uh, any home-based business, I think the overhead cost is going to be relatively low. Back to you, Pandy.
I agree with that, Tony. We are going to be using those things anyway. So that was a really good perspective and a way to put it into perspective, I should say. So, up next, the next tip that we are going to go to is building your team wisely. Now, in particularly if you are an affiliate marketer or you're on here doing any type of business where you're required to kind of get out and build from within, how important is this to make sure or to ensure that your home based business is successful? How do you approach that, Gio?
Well, I've said many times, that I can't build my business by myself, especially if I am an affiliate marketer or a home business owner. You need other people to help you, other people with sort of the same kind of dream that you have. So it is good to look for people that want to change their lives, that want to put money into their family's pocket, and not have to worry about anything that may happen in the future because they've already built the business. So I say choosing your team wisely is good because like I have 3 people on my team, no matter what has happened, they are still there building. Okay. And those are the type of people you're going to need. Now, you may have to go through a ton of people to get those 3, but let me tell you, it is worth it. Okay. So build your team wisely. And also, I would say make when you find people that thinks like you and want to help you build a business and everything, be friends with them, learn about them, ask them what it is that they need, and because all the time business, you know is oh it's to me it's not okay all the time. Okay. I find that being friends is okay. And that is why I still have these people on my team. So that's my answers.
That was very good. I really agree with that. I think it's important to, if you're going to be building a team based business, that you're finding people that your values and your expectations kind of align in a sense. It just makes it that much stronger. What are your thoughts, Melissa?
Well, you know what? Just based on this panel alone, the three of you have turned out to be some of the best business partner decisions that I've made. It's all about having people around you who are going to be make you be accountable, who are going to be there to be a resource, to be encouragement. Sometimes you need somebody to come in and tap you on the shoulder and like, hey, what's the problem? And then some days you need somebody to come in and give you a virtual hug. So it's good to have team members that you can feel comfortable with and be able to have, as Gio said, the friendship conversations with too. But the whole goal is to build together, and that is just it makes the business even more doable when you're working with people that want to work with you.
I agree, Melissa. I definitely agree. All right, so we are going to come to Tony C. And I just realized I'm looking at our time, guys. So we're at 32 minutes, and we usually like to keep these podcast episodes no more than 30 minutes. So after Tony answers on this one, do you guys want to hold off on these until the next time? Because we're getting deep on these.
Yes, that would be great.
Okay, awesome. All right, Tony, what are your thoughts on this? Building your team wisely. How important is that to thrive as a small business owner from home? Someone working from home, getting it from the mud, you trying to build your team up, build momentum. Let us know your thoughts.
I think it's very important to build your team wisely, because one of the first things that I've learned is you have to listen to why they joined you. What do they expect to get from you, and what you have to offer to them? So sometimes some people do not want to build, they may just want to use the products. So now I understand you can't rush in and give them a lot of useless information. They're like, wait a minute, all I wanted was the credit repair. You talking about building a business? I ain't wanting all of that. So for me, building a business with people is to first listen to see what they want from you. Back to you, Andy.
That was powerful right there, especially with a particular type of business that offers multiple features. You are absolutely correct. Sometimes people might just want to come in to get a discount on the product they love, and they have no intention or desire to run a business. And so we have to be able to discern between the two. So that was a great point. I am going to say thank you all to my lovely panel, my business partners, Miss Geo, Melissa, Tony. You guys have been amazing tonight. I think this was a great conversation to spark up in the new year, and we definitely need to keep this flame going in the next one. And of course, like I said, this is a rotating panel. We'll be going to each other's panel every other week and talking on different DIY tips on how you can improve and grow your home-based business. We'll be sharing our home-based business opportunities as well. And I think this was just a great way to get the conversation back out there in front of the people. Any final words from you all before we head out? I'll start with you, Gio.
No, I think we covered everything, Pandy. Thanks.
All righty, Melissa
Just thanks for having me, as always.
and Tony.
Hey, I just want to say this is the first of the year. There are a lot of people that are looking for opportunities. So whatever you have to offer, now is the time to put it out there. Social media is open 24 hours, 7 days a week. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that. And again, I want to thank you guys for joining me and chiming in on this conversation. I am looking forward to a blessed and prosperous year going forward for all of us. If you guys have not, those of you in the audience, if you didn't get a chance to share this video out, please share it out and definitely tap in with the Boss Life Online, tap in with Melissa King, myEcon, and the Tony Clopton Show. I will be sure to make sure that everybody's links can be found in the description box of this video. You're going to be able to get something from all of us, and as I said, this is going to be a rolling panel. So we want to thank you all so much for tuning in and joining us on this conversation tonight. And with that being said, I'm going to say stay safe, everybody. Stay encouraged, and we will see you all in the next video. Good night.